Hey, this is Aaron the Metal Theologian. So there's been this thread going around. I think Vinyl Richie started it, and Hippie DJ Kit got onto it too. Both awesome channels, by the way. Subscribe to both right away. In fact, I think I'm going to link to them on the bottom. But the thread is the 20 best or 20 favorite psychedelic records. So it's actually been a while since I spent a lot of time listening to Psych. I used to a long time ago, and I listened to a ton of it when I did. I listened to a lot of like American shit, and there aren't very many records that are like, sort of renowned that I haven't at least sort of been exposed to on some level or another. But I kind of got to a point where I was kind of tired of sort of the flowery aspect and sort of like, I don't know, I guess I just like bands where it sounded like they were taking stronger drugs or something like that. In fact, that'll come up again when I'm going through as far as my picks here. But anyway, it's funny because even though I don't listen to a whole lot of Psych anymore, a lot of it is still kind of close to my heart. There are even a lot of records I don't have anymore that I was seeing Richie's show going, wow, man, I love that record so much. It's just kind of not really my taste anymore because my taste has kind of changed a little bit that way. But there's still enough out there that, I started thinking about. I was like, I'll bet I have a few things. And I started going through and I was finding so much shit that like I actually had to go back and pare it down then. And there's also a bunch of shit where I really remembered liking it, but it wasn't really fresh in my mind, so a couple of these are going to just rediscover together. And the very first one of those is actually the Jacks, which is a Japanese band we're listening to right now. And this is just some like really, it's psychedelic shit. I mean, obviously. It's sung in Japanese though, and it just has a really fucking weird vibe to it. Like if you heard, this song's a lot more sort of mellow. It's still kind of a little off, See the liner notes are all in Japanese. I'm sure there's some kind of reissue. The originals are probably a fuckload of money. But it's just a really weird vibe, and that's really kind of what I dig more than ever. So, as usual, you're going to see a lot of stuff here that isn't American or British. Well, you see some from both countries, too. But I guess that's what really sort of appeals to me, is things where it just sounds like, I don't know, man, there's just a little bit something different about them, you know what I mean? Like, as much as I dug stuff like, the Strawberry Alarm Clock and things like that, that whole sort of vibe is just a little bit too corny for me, But other examples, I've heard the Jelly Bean Bandits are great. I've only heard good things about that record, but if I discovered that when I was like 25 or something, I would have been all over it. But by the time I actually heard about them and started seeing the record around, like reissues of it, I was like, I just don't feel like buying a band by the Jelly Bean Bandits, So anyway, we're starting off with the Jacks. And I'm going to move on to a bunch more. First I'm going to have a drink, though. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, though, because this video is already likely to be a pretty long one. So I'm just going with the tried and true Moxie here. See that guy? We're going with the Moxie. So, because you can't go wrong with the fucking Moxie. I don't care what anyone says, man. This is a fantastic drink. And if you like that whole sort of bitters flavor, from Campari or like Sun Bitter or anything like that, this is the shit, man. It's funny, the light always does weird shit when I make these videos because the ceiling fan, I usually turn it off, but it's been so fucking hot lately, I just can't. So if the color seems like it's doing some weird shit, just deal with it. So here we go. As I'm bringing it to my face, I can already start to feel like, or smell like sort of, the herbal, like, bouquet of it, sort of like that floral aroma, man. There's nothing quite like a Moxie. This is really a special drink. God, this is good. Honestly, I'll talk shit all day long, you know what I mean? Say you're a chode if you don't like this and fucking go after you and shit. But in reality, like, sort of joking aside, I can totally see where this drink isn't for everybody. It's really sort of the picture of the kind of drink that's an acquired taste that isn't like, hard liquor or something. Of course, bourbon's an acquired taste too, but that's kind of a different form of acquisition, if you know what I mean. God, that's good. Alright. So, real quick, I'm going to touch on a couple honorable mentions here. The first is a band from Peru, actually, the St. Thomas Pepper Smelter. Sorry, I'm trying to adjust to where the best place to sit is. St. Thomas Pepper Smelter. I remembered really liking this record, but I put it on before, and even though there's a little bit of sort of an off vibe about it, like the second song, Pepper's Boogaloo, really kind of stuck out of me as being a little bit weird, but it kind of just has too many covers, like, you know, Hey Joe, A Strange Brew, Inagata Davita's the very first song, and overall it was just a little bit too ordinary to really sort of jump out at me and really sort of grab me by the balls in the way I like a record too. It's a nice record, it's enjoyable, but you know, it's not really sort of my thing anymore. And here's another one, actually. Here's another record that I'd heard really good things about, JD Blackfoot. In fact, I heard The Ultimate Prophecy on some like internet radio show, and it kind of blew me away, but then by the time I actually got the record, it's just kind of mediocre, and I pulled it out again. Excuse me, I was thinking, you know, maybe I was missing something that'll hit me, but I don't know, this record, I really wanted to like it, you know, that's why I'm talking about it right now. There's a cool sort of underground sort of thing to this, even though it was on Mercury. But unfortunately, for my money, this just isn't all that great. And in fact, another one that's like this too is the Phantom's Divine Comedy record. I'm sure some of you know that too. You know, it's this really just sort of weirdo record with like all these weird occult themes and shit like that, and like some semi-crazy guy leading it, but it really just kind of sounds like some guy like aping Jim Morrison. It's not, the songs aren't very good, and it just kind of sucks, you know. So this is really spare, but you can kind of hear there's like this weird vibe. I mean, this sounds like it's genuinely psychedelic, you know what I mean? Even though there's a lot of space in it. So, let's move on then. There's so much shit all over the place. Alright, so, this is one I've known about for a long time, and this one, I want to say they're from Britain, but I'm not positive. But this is T2. It'll All Work Out in Boomland. This is very much of its time being about 1970. Sort of the tail end of that psychedelic thing. You know, it has the, you know, it's definitely a psych record. It has some prog touches, but it's not a prog record. It's a psych record, you know. A couple of songs are really straightforward, but, you know, there's some really kind of weird ones. It has a really cool, like, fuzz guitar sound. And it has a, like, side-long thing on side 2, although this, unfortunately, does have a bonus track on it, which is called Morning, and it's 20 minutes long. So, again, sort of going in the direction of prog, but still with its feet, like, firmly in the psychedelic camp, but on the rockin' side of that, you know what I mean? Well, the other thing I tried to admit, too, is anything that you might fall into the category of, like, 60s punk. So, like, I pulled out my Question Mark and the Mysterians record, and I looked at it and I was like, you know something, I love this record, but I don't know if I can really call this a psych record, per se. I mean, I could make an argument, but it's not really it. Alright, so here's one from Venezuela, which, I don't know, I'm kind of showing more because it's a cool piece than because it's such a great record. It's an interesting record, and it's a good record, but it's also one of almost no records I have from Venezuela, and this is Ladies WC. I'm actually going to take this one out because it has some pretty awesome looking vinyl, too. Yeah, check this shit out. I got this a long time ago, too. This isn't like one of the new ones, but yeah, look at that shit. Yeah, the fucking lighting thing is kind of starting to bug me, so hang on a sec. Yeah, I'm seeing it in the thing, and it's kind of starting to drive me nuts, so there we go. We'll let it adjust, and it'll be good. Alright, so check out this vinyl. There we go. Look at that. And they actually reproduced the old, like, souvenir label on this, which is what the original was. This is a reissue from around 2000-ish, which, you know, isn't very easy to find now anymore either, honestly. But this isn't really something you need to just run out and grab. If you get a chance to hear it, by all means, listen to Ladies WC. I mean, it's such a ridiculous thing. But it's an interesting piece. And it's not at all a bad psych record. It's not a tremendous record, but it's an enjoyable listen. There's really nothing wrong with it. It's a good one to pull out like once a year. Now this one is an all-time favorite. This is Witthäuser and Westrup. This is German. Julian Cope actually raved about these guys. So A lot of you have probably heard of this, but this is their second record, Trips and Träume, or like Trips and Dreams. And this definitely has kind of a folky vibe to it. Not as much on their previous record, though, or on subsequent records. This one's kind of the most rock of everything they did. Very sort of far out, though. It's like, it has a folky vibe, but it sounds like they were really fucking high when they made it. And that's what you want your Psych to sound like, right? It's actually a little late for Psych, I suppose. It's 71. But, this was also an OR release. So there you go, there's a little seal of quality right there. And as psychedelic shit goes, man, you can't really do any better than this. At least I can't. I love that record. Here's another one. This is sort of on the harder rockin' side as this sort of thing goes. And these guys are from Argentina. This is PLA Pueblo. And this is Rock de las Heridas or something like that. I don't know, my Spanish sucks. But it's an awesome record, man. Definitely psychedelic, you know what I mean? But it has like the cool sort of rockin' sound, you know. It's kind of plodding, has a little bit of sort of that, like a Sabbath vibe would make it sound too heavy, because this is still more of a Psych record than like a hard rock record. But it's on the heavier side of the Psych. It has that sort of spacey, like druggy feel to it, but it still rocks, you know. Which is why I love this record so much. So, PLA Pueblo, awesome record. God, I don't feel like I'm doing a whole lot of variety here as far as this shit goes. Okay, this is a little bit more like what we're listening to right now, and I actually might throw this on for a minute. This is The Survival. And, La Onda de the Survival. Actually, I'm going to hold off for a minute. I'm going to put something else on. It's another really cool Psych record. These guys are Mexican. They look pretty geeky if you look at that. This is on, this is a Rockadelic reissue, if I'm not mistaken, actually. And Rockadelic is kind of a cult label in its own right. It reissues, but Rich Haupt, who's the guy behind that label, just had a knack for just digging out these underground gems. And a lot of it definitely wasn't my taste, but all of it's worth hearing. I don't think I ever heard a Rockadelic record where I was like, well, that was just a fucking 40 minutes of my life wasted, you know? So, anyway, it's a really cool one. Look at this guy in the back right there. And this one, as far as the vibe goes, is probably kind of similar to this. It's a little bit more songy and a little bit less sort of stream of consciousness, if that makes sense, than this Jack's record. But the songs are really good. It's really cool. And actually, another Mexican one that I really like that I didn't pull out is Los OVNIs. Similar sort of vibe. Just really cool, like, sort of 60s Psych shit. Really good songs. This is almost too obvious, and I talked about this band recently, but I can't not mention the 13th Floor Elevators. And this is my personal favorite one, Easter Everywhere. Has that jug going on it. It's a little bit better than the mix as far as, you know, relative to the first one. Vinyl Richie, in his video, he pulled out the first one. He was talking about how it was so high in the mix that, like, half the time I could hear this fucking jug. That's kind of true, but I kind of like it for that. That said, I think the songs on this record are better overall, and it's really mixed better in the record on that one. So, all right, now I didn't put on the other one because we're gonna put this next one on here. This is Whare El Inca, and this one I really just bought on the strength of the cover, and because these guys are from Bolivia, if I'm not mistaken, at least. I assume that that's what that is. And it says progressive music from Bolivia. So maybe I'm cheating a little bit with this one, but to me this one has more of a Psych vibe than a truly prog vibe. Although, you know, I haven't played it in a while, so I might change my mind when I start putting it on. But I warned you about that at the beginning, so if you're still watching, you're probably okay with that, at least to a certain point. So let's see if this is actually sort of falls into the Psych category, if I can rationalize it somehow, or if I'm just full of shit. Alright, El Inca. 5 songs. It's a good number of songs for a record. Super obscure, this one. This is the sort of thing where I look at it and I go, I can't, not only can I not believe it exists, but I can't believe that someone took the trouble to reissue it. Look at that. There's the lyrics in there. Yeah, this is super underground. It has a real sort of inept quality to it. which I just love, you know. You know, like the singer isn't the greatest, and the playing isn't the greatest, but there's a real sincerity about it. Like, this was not a record that they made to cash in on fucking anything. You know, Psych or, you know, pop hits or whatever. These guys, like, they just made this record for the love of it. I mean, yeah, and that's just one of the greatest things for me. So here's another band that I didn't hear either of the other two guys mention yet, which surprises me because this is a classic band too. So much so that I'm tempted to needle drop, but I won't bother. And that is the 13th Floor Elevators label mates, the Red Crayola. And I really like Coconut Hotel, but I think my favorite is probably this one, which is God Bless the Red Crayola and All Who Sail With It. Like I said, it's on the International Artist label. Listen to this. I call this Psych. It's the International Artist label. These guys are really kind of tripped out, like even further than the 13th Floor Elevators. It's a similar sort of idea. But, like, their first record, The Parable of Arable Land, actually has, like, between all the songs, it says Freeform Freakout. And that's, like, what it is. It makes the record a little harder to listen to, you know? On this one's a little bit more, I guess, minimalist. But it's a little bit more focused for it, too, you know what I mean? And I just think it's a really cool record. Mayo Thompson's solo record is great, too, if you come across that. Alright, I'm getting all messed up here and shit. Alright, these guys are Dutch. This is Group 1850. This is Agimo's Trip to Mother Earth. And yeah, it's a 3D cover, even though there's a reissue. And, oh shit, and there are my 3D glasses that came with it. Oh man, it looks like they had a little warp. That sucks. Look, it actually says left and right in Dutch on it. So here, I'll hold this up for you. You look through it, and like, you'll see it's 3D. Okay, so just like put your eyes right up to the fucking like screen or whatever. See if we can get this. Oh, there we go. That's better. How's that? You freaking out? Because you know you should be. Awesome Psych record. There were a lot of really cool records out of the Netherlands around this time, too. They're a little more hit and miss than, like, you know, a Norway, which I've kind of talked about in other videos. I mean, just about anything out of Norway is awesome. Denmark, too. Sweden was more hit or miss for my taste. And so was, and so were the Netherlands. But there's some fantastic records, and this is one of them. Their second record is great, too. This is the first one. Had to pull it out. And if I'm not mistaken, it's actually on the Pseudonym label too, which is a label that really just did Dutch shit. So, which is why I'm taking the trouble to mention him here too. You just go out and buy everything you find on Pseudonym, and I won't necessarily think that everything you got was a gem, but you'll come across some interesting bands like these guys, or like Cosmic Dealer is another one I know they did. I'm drawing a blank now, but I need another sip of my Moxie, that's why I'm drawing a blank. Alright, here's another one that almost seems too obvious for me to include, because someone else is going to mention this. But here we go, wrapped in its very early Roger Dean cover is Gun, or The Gun. And these guys almost had a hit with Race with the Devil, which is a great song, which is actually covered on an outtake by Judas Priest. There's like a bonus track on the reissue of, I want to say, Sin After Sin or something. Of course, I don't own it because it's bonus tracks, right? But I heard it at someone else's. Actually, you know where I heard it? It was at Doom Paul's house. So if you're not subscribed to Doom Paul, check him out. But he had a copy of the Sin After Sin reissue on CD, and we were listening to it, and I was like, holy shit, that's a gun! What the fuck are they doing that song for? I couldn't believe it. Anyway, this is pretty heavily orchestrated for a Psych record. Lots of, like, I mean, there are, like, strings and all sorts of shit like that on here. Lots of brass, but it's not brass rock, and it's not symphonic rock. It's really just, like, psychedelic shit. Fucking fantastic songs all the way through. And, God, Yellow Cab Man is such a great song. And just really cool, really good record. Yeah, it says Gun on the back here, but on the label it says The Gun. It's a cool old Mercury label, but oh no, it's an Epic label. I'm sorry, I lied. It's one of those yellow Epic labels, but you've seen that before. All right, here's another one. Just checking the time real quick here. Yeah, it's 20 minutes. There we go. So that's why I didn't want to yap about the soda for too long, because I didn't actually count these, but it is about 20. I counted them and then I rearranged some. So, all right, this is another one that has sort of a folky vibe, and this one is actually notable for being one of, I think, 2 non-German records on the Or label. There's a reissue that came out on Wawa a few years ago, but this is Peace of Mind by Roger Bunn. I mean, just look at that cover. Basically, it lives up to that cover. Let me see what else I got. Now, there's a Peruvian one I'm going to play in a couple minutes, so just trust me, man. Like, this is, the guy's English, if I'm not mistaken, Roger Bunn, but this really fits in with that whole sort of, like, Or vibe. Like, you listen to this and you don't go, what the fuck are they putting this English guy on for? It's not like they put on, like, you know, Yes or something like that. Like, this kind of fits in with the whole sort of groove, and it's just a really cool record. I mean, first of all, how can you argue with that, right? Second of all, it's just really listenable. This is a really easy to record, just put on and just dig it for what it is and enjoy. It's easy to get into without being, like, you know, so shallow that after 2 listens you're just done with it. Here's what I've got to mention that Vinyl Richie talked about. As I recently learned, this is actually a Puerto Rican band called Kaleidoscope. I thought they were Mexican for a long time because the record only came out in Mexico. In fact, this reissue is on La Ciruela Electrica, which is a Mexican label. Although, actually, I think the guy's American. The address here is in Tijuana, but I thought he was in Miami. Oh, wait. Whatever. I don't fucking know. Anyway, this is a great record, man. Just really cool psych shit, good songs, and just a weirdo vibe, man. And the songs are short, too, unlike a lot of these. This one has 10 songs on it, you know, which is like a legitimate LP, you know. It's not super long either, you know. But it's a great record, man. There we go. It's a Kaleidoscope. Here's another German one. This is Kalachakra. Actually, DJ, or Hippie, sorry, I keep fucking up the name, man. Hippie DJ Kit. He showed this not so long ago. He has a different pressing of it. I thought it was an original, and I about had my mind blown. But this is a recent reissue on Garden of Delights. This one has really sort of like, I want to say like an Indian vibe, like almost like it's sort of like a raga and feel. But if I say that, I feel like it evokes images of like, you know, George Harrison, like, you know, around like Wonderwall music, which is, you know, it's kind of corny. I mean, I like that record, actually. Don't get me wrong, I own it, and I'd play it, you know. But it definitely feels like, okay, we're going to like go and like we're going to bust out these sitars and fool around with them and kind of see what we're doing. And this doesn't really do that. This is more like it's inspired by that. It captures some of that, but it does it in more of a sort of, you know, in more of a Western European context. And so it feels a little bit more like they're being true to themselves, a little bit less like they're openly experimenting, more just like this is what we're doing, you know? Great record. Crawling to Lhasa. Fantastic record. So here's the one I wanted to put on. This is Glue by Livonia. These guys made 2 records as far as I know. And they've been reissued a couple times, which is a good thing because you won't find originals. Yeah, this one, Glue, and the second one was called Etc. And there may have been more after that, I really don't know. But I don't think so. So we're going to fire this up for a minute, so show them that cover again. I'll show the back. The corner on this got crunched somehow, but you know, it's interesting. A lot of these different places had like specific labels that, you know, that would specifically reissue things from specific parts of the world. So like this is a Lazarus audio record. And anything on Lazarus was going to be Peruvian, and anything on La Ciruela Electrica was going to be Mexican, and I actually talked with the people behind both labels. I actually met the Lazarus Audio guy in person when I was living in LA. The address is in Burbank. I didn't remember him being in Burbank. I thought it was more like Glendale, but I went out and met with him once and, got some records from him and shit. Just sort of coincidentally, as I got some shit like online. It turned out it was him. So I just went and picked it up and we bullshit for a while, Good guy, though, who really cares about what he's doing, and that was the same impression I got from Whare El Inca, but to the point where I'd check out just about anything on these labels. And, I shop by label. I've said this before. That's one of the ways that I sort of find these things. Oh, I like these 5 records on Or. I wonder what the 6th one sounds like. Oh, the dude from La Ciudadela Electrica, he did this one and this one and this one. They were all great. I wonder what this 4th one sounds like. I'll bet that one's good too, Where, conversely, Shrapnel Records being the ultimate case in point. This one sucks, this one sucks, this one sucks. I'll bet that other one on this label is going to suck too. So, listen to this. Such a cool vibe, It's like laid back, but it has that classic organ sound, Look at those motherfuckers. Alright, here's another one that's a little bit obvious, but great, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention it. That's Os Mutantes. This is the first record. It's very much a psych record. They got more sort of conceptual and did all sorts of other experimentation as they went on, but this is the only one I actually own. More out of neglect than, because I have any issue with the other records from what I've heard. But this is just a really cool psych record, man. It has a weird sort of vibe. It's not only is it not American or British or European, but it even sounds different from, like, the other parts of South America, the Portuguese vibe or whatever. But, just an awesome record, man. Fucking, if you don't know Os Mutantes, just go check them out. Just trust me, because they're one of those bands that's rightly gotten a cult following over the years. I mean, the shit gets reissued periodically now. People talk about them, and they deserve every bit of that attention. Up next, this might be one of my earliest ones for me personally, and it's so obvious to me that I almost overlooked it, but this is a fantastic psych record. This is a 3rd Deep Purple record. It's just called Deep Purple. It has this Hieronymus Bosch cover. And they put themselves into it. Where are they? Right there. It's kind of silly, It has the lyrics inside the gatefold, which is purple. This is still the first lineup with Nick Simper and Rod Evans. But instead of loading it up with all these covers and kind of doing this sort of poppy shit like they did in the first 2 records, with this one they really kind of cut loose. And they did all this weird shit like playing the drums backwards in one of the tracks and using harpsichords and shit. They messed around with the instrumentation. They only did 1 cover, which is a Donovan song, which they actually did a really nice job of. There's some awesome percussion and shit, like on Chasing Shadows. It's unbelievable. Actually, the bass on that tune is great too. Just an awesome fucking psychedelic record before they sort of turned around and went super heavy with their next record, Deep Purple and Rock. God damn it, there's a fucking palmetto bug over there. Motherfucker. He's lucky I'm making a video or else I might kill him. Here's another one. Hippie DJ Kid mentioned this one. Damnation of Adam Blessing, but I had to mention it briefly because at my senior prom, the drummer in the band that was playing in the place at the dance had been in this band, and of course I didn't know. I was there hanging out and shit, and the guy up there, we're all standing around fucking in high school wearing our tuxedos and shit, and one goes, oh, so I don't know if any of you have ever heard of a band called the Damnation of Adam Blessing, but they're drummers in our band tonight, and fucking everyone's like this, and I'm all by myself going, ah, yeah. So there you go, Damnation. This is a great record, man. Fucking, there are a couple covers on here. Last Train to Clarksville, but they just pull it off, man. It's kind of corny, but just good. It's sincere, and they're from Cleveland, man. So what are you gonna do, man? These guys are late. I almost feel like I'm cheating by including this, but on the other hand, I don't feel like I could not include what to me is the mother of all psychedelic bands. The band where the acid they took had more strychnine in it than anyone else's acid. and that would be Hawkwind. And this is probably my favorite one, Warrior on the Edge of Time. And this one has the really cool fold out, where it folds out into a shield. I showed this in a really early video. Here we go, here, look at that. This is my Chaos shield. And there's the other side, look at that. It's kind of hard to hold up into the camera, but look at that. How can you argue with a fucking record that folds out into a shield, man? Seriously. Great record. Great record. Fucking heavy, total space rock, though. I mean, this is really, I suppose, more space rock than strictly psychedelic. But fuck it, man. I'm counting it. Alright, finally, I'm going to throw down a minute of this last one, too. Because this last one is a total favorite of mine, too. And, we're going back to Germany with this one. God, I hope I can find my inner. Every time I make one of these videos, I have to, like, go and, like, clean all this shit up afterwards. There's a record just sort of sitting there. Oh, here's an inner. I can feel it. Yeah, this last one was one I couldn't believe that I found in the wild. And not just anywhere in the wild, but at a little shop at Cabin Floor Records in Greenville, South Carolina. Which is not the place where you'd expect to find a record like this. At least I wouldn't have. But there it was. And there was my wallet. And here's the record. And this would be Collapsing. But chewed and didn't delete my old videos, so I fucked up. Like, I built up all that drama over this fucking record. This is my kind of psychedelic shit. Lots of drums, lots of dope. Alright, this is Collapsing, Singvögel, Rückwärts und Co. by Almond Jewel. It's black cover. And that beautiful picture on the inside. Look at that gatefold, man. This is an original metronome. And Almond Jewel 2 is actually better known. I mean, people already know this. Just fucking turn off the video if you're done with this. But there were two bands, alright? And it was originally one band, I guess, but they split off. And basically what happened was Almond Jewel, because they all lived in some commune or something. And the Almond Jewel records actually were all made in like 1 or 2 sessions where they just sat around and like beat on instruments and shit, and it was just like a bunch of people who got really high and made these fucking records, right? Almond Jewel 2, those guys decided they wanted to be more like a real band, and so they actually, I mean, they were fantastic too, but they were more sort of focused and more disciplined. The jams kind of had more purpose, whereas this, they were just fucking going nuts, you know what I mean? And I love this, man. I can listen to this shit all the way through. I can listen to Disaster, which is a double, but this one's my favorite, so this is the one I pulled out. Anyway, so next time, if there's a cut in the middle of the thing and I start blaming Spencer, you'll know that I'm actually full of shit, because I just did it myself and he's in bed. So, alright. Cheers, thanks for watching. That's my 20 Psych Records. I don't know if it's the best or my favorite or anything else, but it's 20 that I really like a lot for one reason or another, ranging from it's kind of a charming record of Ladies WC to Almond Jewel, which is just a fucking mega classic as far as I'm concerned. So, thanks for watching and have fun.